Insiders family, how the heck are you? Looking at the chat, Max says that this is the same time as the Rocky Mountain fantasy stream. And I'm going, well, I appreciate that you guys are here. Yeah, like Greg says, Brop Nation. I know every Thursday at noon, I do a live show. Last Thursday, I had some hiccups that were going on with, being honest, some personal stuff. So I dropped the ball on that one, so I apologize. But everyone, make sure to WFO that like button and stick around for tomorrow's live stream at noon. I've got some good guests, and we're going to be talking about all these crazy issues going on, and it's going to be a shit show. That's what we call the show. So I sincerely appreciate all you guys sticking around with me for as long as you have. It's been quite a journey with the internet. And, for just being part of the Moto family. So first off, let's talk about this whole fiasco that has to do with this 280 mumbo jumbo stuff. So if you guys saw my video I did it's been a couple days ago, I was commenting on some rumors that were going on. I use words like allegedly and accusations, and it stirred up quite a bit. Like Michael Lindsay from Vital was giving me a hard time. Would say that I was spreading lies, which I wasn't. I wasn't the original person that started the rumors. I was commenting on the whole situation that Max Anstine, because he was doing so well, was running a 280 kit. And first off, before I dab right into this, because I have a bias, right? I come from a privateer perspective, and if I'm going to speak about my own relationship with dirt bikes, for the longest time, I tried to be clean as a whistle, 85s, whatnot. Never put big bores in, never cheat, never use illegal fuel, never use performance-enhancing drugs, because my mama and papa told me it was bad. And you become the person you want to be. And so you don't start off becoming a cheater. And I have that little saying that it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission, because it's actually true. Yes, I've become a little bit more jaded as I've gotten older because of my relationship with bikes, and then, my background in finance and seeing all the crooks that are all out there. As much as people want to try to tell you that, you're not a number, but when you're born, you're given a social security number, right, along with your name, and then when you go to do anything, is your name worth anything, or is it your number that's worth something? So maybe there's just kind of like a hidden joke there, but I'm digressing. And what I mean is I didn't cheat for the longest time. On 85s, I didn't big board, didn't do any of that stuff. And I did fairly well, but then once I started going to amateur nationals, it was like, dude, these bikes are just running in circles around you. And Jim says, don't invest money with this man. Hey, caveat there. Ben, I never ask anybody for money. If you're getting scammed by a Johnny Crypto, I do not DM people. They're bots out there. I've tried Meta. I've tried Facebook. I've tried all of them to try to get them to remove, because it's not actually me. I am Johnny_crypto. Okay? That's just my financial stuff. I need to link it to my YouTube here, but I've had a few people that say that they've been scammed by these bots, and it's a bummer. But I do not DM you guys. I will not. I'm not taking money from you. My TikTok and my Instagram and my YouTube with Johnny Crypto is just sincerely about helping people learn how to invest in cryptocurrency and retirement, etc. And okay, so Ben says, "Oh, it's just a joke. Didn't know that there was real things happening." Yeah, Ben, there actually is. There's some people that are pretending to be me and are scamming people, right? So anyway, that's how my whole relationship started with Damon Bradshaw, was because he was getting scammed by one of my fake accounts. Anyway, I've really digressed now, So my point is, my own experience, I never built any of that stuff until I got into big bikes. And seeing the amateur nationals, it was like, dude, how are you going to compete with this stuff? You just, it's hard. You get to a point where talent is not enough. You have to have the right equipment. You absolutely have to have the right equipment, and it's difficult. A lot of people say that factory bikes, well, they don't need a big bore and blah, blah, blah. And I agree. Factory bikes do not need to big bore and try to gain more horsepower because they've got so much testing that stuff works so incredibly well. The ECUs alone, the power delivery, the airbox, they do the majority of the work to make them have crazy amounts of usable power where you can get away with just having a beefier bike. There's a reason why like you don't really see people big boring in 450s because it's already too much bike. And if you have a 525 and a 450, the thing, it becomes a 500 two-stroke. It's hard to hang on to. It's vibrating the hell out of you. I was actually reading the press release from the owner of Club MX that he was saying that Jeremy Martin in the last race wasn't racing, well, didn't ride his factory bike for a couple weeks, and he's just started riding it once the Houston race started. And so the bike had so much power that it was hard for him to control it. And that's potentially one of the reasons why he ended up going a little bit backwards, right? And dun dun dun, Weasel says that this was taken by a clickbait scam. Dude, the internet is all about clickbait. Even if you have good information, which I do, you need to have retention spans and people to click on stuff, because if you have good, okay, my example in my rebuttal to one of the chats here is, all right, yes, I'm going to go into the finance part of me. Let's say somebody is a billionaire, right? And he tells you, hey, I'm going to show you how to make your first million. Are you going to click on it? Or are you going to click on something from a millionaire with a Lambo telling you how to make $1 billion and completely scamming somebody? You're going to listen to the millionaire, not the billionaire, if that makes any sense. And it's all based on just clickbait. So you got to have a little bit of clickbait in order to be heard. And it's unfortunate, but retention is something that is very important. And we've got such limited areas right now. That's why Instagram and TikTok are so popular, because you've got 1 to 2 seconds to actually make a hit from somebody. So if I'm talking about back to the whole cheating scenario, sorry, I've got some emails and other shit that's going on right now. So this is why you guys are involved in the live show, because stuff is going on. I never put big bores or anything in for the longest time. And then eventually I was like, you know what? I got to try something, because I'm getting my ass kicked and I don't have the money to have a full-blown $50,000 motorcycle. So it's easy to spend $800 for a big bore kit and get a bunch of bottom end. And I almost guarantee you that most of the little bikes in arena cross, there's a good percentage of them that I bet have big bores in them. Especially, talk about like little 125s. I'm sure they're 150s and all sorts of stuff, but they're never going to get torn down. Just like the same thing that PEDs are never going to, you're not going to get tested from them. I had a few privateers on the show a couple weeks ago and talking about the new drug testing protocol, and none of them even knew what was going on, and they've never ever been tested their entire career. So I'm like, if there's no repercussions, why wouldn't you kind of push the limits if it's going to equal more money, right? I'm just going hypothetical, maybe a little bit of politics involved, right? You want to, on paper, look the best, but behind the scenes, you might do some stuff that's a little bit shady. It's just how the world works, right? You got to step on a few people in order to get ahead. But you don't want to teach your kids that. You don't want, your heroes like Lance Armstrong coming to find out that they were the biggest cheaters. However, they still worked their freaking ass off, right? And moving on to just the 280 kit. If I'm thinking about, well, let's first just talk about the rumor. Okay, so the rumor was, dun, 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 and I believe it was started by Lewis Phillips, right? I believe he works for Swamp Moto. He was saying, yeah, there's a source that tells me a team protested Anstein's bike. They think it's a 280 kit. And this could just be mumbo jumbo rumors in the pits, which it turns out that nobody actually protested, but I'm sure there was talk of protesting. And if I have anything to say about it, teams are all about sponsorships and money. If you can get somebody DQ'd for your riders to be on the podium, A, you put more money into their pockets, and A, you get more credibility towards the sponsors that are paying you race to race. And if I'm just looking at this, right, allegedly, let's just say a team was to protest. In my opinion, what I said in my video, who would have the biggest gain from something like that? And it would be Star Yamaha, because we had Jordan Smith, who's now on factory Yamaha, and Hayden Deegan, who's now on factory Yamaha, or at least Star Yamaha. And what's interesting is you have to put it together. Jordan Smith was actually on that Firepower Honda last year, and he couldn't get on the podium. He wasn't riding as well as Max Anstein. So if you've literally been in that program and know how good that bike is, you might go, you know what? It doesn't make sense that he's doing so much better now. So I'm coming from, my thoughts are being all skewed here. I'm just coming from how many times I was protested, even at a local level, right? If you can have a gain from protesting somebody, you probably will. And what's crazy about the internet nowadays is anybody that is in the pits that overhears something or is somewhat privy to, this kind of goes back to the whole Loretta fiasco, it's hard to manage. Back in the day when they didn't have the internet, they didn't have outlets for people to have a platform to speak about stuff. You could literally hide so much. You could say, oh, we don't want that information getting out, so we're not going to say it, right? So it just so happens that there was no protest, but I believe that there was probably at least talk about protesting a certain someone, because it doesn't look good when a semi-privateer bike is beating all the big factories, right? The ones that potentially they don't spend as much money to do so. Nothing against Anstein, nothing against Star Yamaha, nothing against any of them. But hey, it's something that has to be said. We all know that racing motorcycles is a little bit princessy, right? You have guys out there that want to be treated a certain way. It's not really like the UFC, Ultimate Fighting. You know, they want to be treated like princesses in a way. I know a lot of riders that come from money, that already have the kind of princess mentality, and then you go race, it's just elevated. But you also have those badass guys that just grit their teeth and they get it done. Like riders that potentially go on to be like Ironman athletes or triathletes, where it's just you again for a long period of time. So would a 280 kit make the difference to a Star Yamaha bike? I don't believe so. Yes, you'd make more bottom end torque, but it's not enough to get the job done, right? Those factory ECUs are incredibly valuable. And it's part of the reasons why you've had factory riders don't want to come back on a privateer team. And Christophe Purcell, James Stewart, if they aren't given a factory bike with a factory ECU, they don't want to play. Plain and simple, because their reputation is on the line. It has nothing to do with how talented they are. They need to have the right equipment. And dude, I'm all for effing Club MX and Firepower Honda putting it to some of the factory teams. We need more of this. We absolutely need more of this. We need new teams coming up and giving more sponsors and doing all of it, right? And my rebuttal on everyone giving little Deegan such hate, it's like, dude, grow the F up. Deegan is a kid. Do you really think that he has control over his program? Like, it's the same thing as normal kids. Do you really think that kids have control over their lives? No, their parents tell them when they have to be home, they have to go to school, blah, blah, blah. It's not until you're a freaking adult and you live on your own that you can actually make your own decisions. And this kid, I'm assuming, has a lot of people in his corner that are telling him what to do. His job is just to ride the damn bike. It's not up to him to go, hey, you guys should go protest that dude. And by the way, there has been protests against Deegan for having a big bore. I believe when he was on a 65, he had a big bore in his bike. Do you think it was his idea to put a big bore in a 65 at like age 8? No, right? So if I'm just reverse psychologing that, do you think it's his idea to go protest Firepower Honda for a rider beating them? No. But was it probably talked about? Yes. And really, what did this boil down to? Well, if I'm moving on to the penalties, which these are kind of funny, is Hunter Lawrence, failure to directly report to impound, and Max Anstine, failure to directly report to impound. If they don't go directly to impound, because impound is when they can test fuel, they can test the bikes, they can tear them down and see what's going on. It's the same thing with supposedly the top 3 should get tested for some stuff, but they're not at least Feld and MX Sports are not part of WADA anymore, or FIM, so who knows what kind of drug testing is going on. If so, I'd have to talk more, so I'm not going to really comment on it as facts, right? It's just allegedly, it's what probably should happen, but all that stuff is expensive. But I'm just saying, hey, if I see Max Anstine not going to get the bike to impound, you instantly go, why are they doing that? Do they need to quickly go back and switch out a motor, then get it to impound? Because we can't have them tear apart a bike that's, illegal. That we didn't know you were going to podium, but damn, you did. So, oh shit, what do we do now? But it's also interesting that HRC Honda did the same thing. And these guys, they should know better, right? They should absolutely know better because they've been on the podium before. They've won races. Anstine is an MXGP legend, right? They should all know this. So it begs the difference that potentially people behind the scenes are making the decisions to say, hey, we got to go do this, whatever. You could speculate all you want on what happened here. It's just ironic that these guys didn't go to impound, right? And you guys are saying he slapped a turbo on it, which is funny if that actually did happen. And if we're moving on, Alex Ray, he lost 2 positions for advancing while off course. Well, Hunter Lawrence was riding pretty freaking fast off the track, off the start after Tom Vial, whipped into him, but he actually lost a spot. He went from 2nd to 3rd, so he didn't get protested. But man, if people are talking about protesting, why the hell wouldn't Firepower Honda even at least talk about protesting HRC for riding off the track, right? If I'm the dude that's the team manager or whatnot, right, my job is to try to get these guys the most points and blah, blah, blah. So hell yeah, would I go HRC Honda? I want you guys to review that footage. I want you to do everything because Hunter Lawrence should lose a position and Max Anstine should have won the race because of the sheer fact that Hunter was off the track and he was accelerating off the track. Did he get on safely? I don't think so, right? It's my job to try to make my rider and my team look the best, okay? That's the whole business politics part of racing that goes on. And if we're continuing with the penalties here, AC has a nervous bladder and he urinates off the side, so he gets fined $1,000. That's pretty funny right there, because I'm one that has an incredibly nervous bladder, and so I urinate all the time when I'm racing, right? So dun dun dun, I'd have to. So Ben says I'd have to take a huge shit for 1K. Yeah, no, that's just funny, right? They should really have porta potties next to the gate is what they should have. So if a guy needs to release himself right before because he's got 25 minutes to go, these guys need to stay really hydrated. Whether or not, here, I'm going to speculate, right? You guys are going to love this. Whether or not they have an IV in their semi, then, they might have to go to the bathroom really fast, okay? So, like the quotes, the speculation that goes on there. You never know what happens behind closed doors. That's really all of what boils down to this. And hey, I appreciate every single one of you guys that are involved right now, that are checking out this video and are in the chat room. I'll do my best to try to get to some of the comments here, but I do want you to smash that like button. And if you're new to this, I do another live show with a group of people. We usually have 4 to 5, sometimes 6 people on, where we just shoot the shit tomorrow at noon Pacific time. And we talk about the race and some of this stuff, and it's a lot of different viewpoints from different people, and we're not owned by anybody. So we can speak our mind and say whatever. So there's a lot of good that comes out of there. Dun, dun, dun. So if I'm continuing on, I wanted to talk about some of the stuff that I didn't get to talk about this week is Tomac and Sexton. So if I look at the practice times, right? We've got Chase Sexton with a 50.3, Dylan a 51.4, Eli Tomac a 51.4 as well. That is a second and a half faster than anybody. Sexton was moving it, and Sexton has been this way Nationals and Supercross last year. He is arguably the fastest guy on a dirt bike right now. He just needs to put stuff together and be consistent. Yes, he has been fairly consistent, but he's having a hard time getting over the racecraft of Tomac, of just being the Iceman, where he's incredibly intimidating, especially when you're having the best version of Tomac you're racing against. And that's exactly what happened, was he was able to step up. Because if we look at the heat race, Chase was a 50.9. 50.9. Right? That was pretty damn close to his qualifying time when the track was good in session 3. He's a 50.3 there. And then Tomac was slower than his qualifying time and was literally a little over a second slower with a 52 flat. And he lost by 7 seconds. Wow. That is hard to come back from, right? Sexton has got his mojo going, and Tomac is back there going, how am I going to make up? Because 1 second in less than a minute lap time, you're 5 to 10-ish% faster than somebody else. That is nuts. That is crazy. Maybe I'd have to do a little bit of the math to make full disclosure if that is correct or not. But you just know you are moving and you're better than the other rider. And then come the main event, what happens? Tomac stays consistent. He's still a 52.3. He just was a little bit faster in the sand. I really feel like the sand section made it up. And Chase slowed down quite a bit from his heat race of a 50.9 to 52 flat. His line in the heat race versus the main event was not working in the sand, and it slowed him down. And Tomac came out on top. And you're really only as good as your last race. And Tomac has got his shit together to be able to go from being slower to not really changing your speed as much now that I'm looking at the lap times, but still come out on top. You are breaking that other rider. Yes, Sexton won the last race, and if he was to win again, dude, he would have full control over the series. But now it's going back to being in Tomac's ballroom. I can't think of the right word. He's just got he's rolling with the confidence, I guess, is majority what I'm trying to say here. Dun, dun, dun. And you guys are talking about a little bit of Deegan in the track. I will get to some of the comments here in just a second before I leave the chat. But I always do one of these track analysis videos, but they haven't released the little deal so that I can really comment off. But this is the first time, guys, that I'm looking at this track. I wanted to make sure that I have a unbiased perspective right here. So if I'm looking at this track, I always like 180-degree starts, especially left-handers, because you can still use your rear brake, right? This to me seems really safe. I do like how this start is going. Trying to see the other round of where this is going here. So you're going to have a little roll jump, and then one of these other crazy triple on, maybe double off, triple into the corner. I could see that happening, right? Man, that might be hard. That might be hard to happen on the first lap. So you might see a guy roll, double, step over, triple into the corner, at least the first lap. Then you have a big seat bounce triple or wheel tap jump. into some whoop sections, you might see some riders roll. They're probably going to jump on this and then bounce off to get into the whoop section. I like this. I really do like this. Then you have a 90-degree corner, which riders are either going to go outside and they could do this from the inside too. They could go from the inside and go double, triple, because there's no different rhythm there. Even if a rider tries to roll, he's screwed for that triple. That section is so one line, it's going to be hard to see any passing back here. Then you're going to have a triple on, off to a dragging back, step over to a double, double, maybe. I don't like those dragging backs. But then, okay, let's just say you'll roll, then step on, step off. You'll see some guys go to the inside here, roll, step on, step off, da-da-da. Then I believe triple, single, or double, double. Into some more sand. A sand wall. That's going to be interesting. That is going to be interesting. Then a nice 180. Oh, I like that, where there's a little bump here and then a bump on the inside. It's going to kind of slow it down, right? You might actually see a rider try to like go outside in. That would be kind of fast, cut over the line, or vice versa, just go inside to out. And then you'll have a step on, step over to the tabletop. Really, the passing points I know is going to be this whoop section and the sand. The whoop section and the sand, I believe, are going to be the two big passing points here on this guy. I will have a more in-depth analysis once the map gets, probably tomorrow morning or something is when I'll do it. But I like this track. This track doesn't look as crazy video game-ish as we've seen in the past. Like, if I look back on the track, we're talking about this guy that just happened here in Houston. I did not like the start because you saw a lot of riders come around the start, and this is not... This is Houston. That came around the start, and they got pushed way wide here, and you saw some riders go down here because the track map didn't really do the full actual track justice because this was much farther here. And then I was off from saying that riders could triple over here. They ended up singling, then jumping over here. And I did not like this. I did not like this, and I did not like having a double after the whoops. I think they should have just left a long whoop section all the way through the deal. We saw some riders get super sketchy and almost kill themselves. We saw Deegan almost kill himself because of that, and then you also saw Dylan Ferrandis go down from it. And dang it, my Ethereum leverage contract just got sold because crypto is tanking at the moment. Freaking A. Gotta have that State of the Union saying that they're gonna tax the wealthy some more, and then everyone. No. Sorry, I'm digressing, but let's talk about a little bit of comments before I let you go, because I'm right at about 28 minutes here. Dun dun dun. And so Nil8 Buds says that Sexton has the fastest lap time and still being bad in the sand section. Yes, yeah. Sexton is freaking the man. It's hard to argue against him. If he can figure out how to get in Tomac's head, the championship is his. And Mike says Hayden will be top 5 or 6th or 7th this weekend. Who knows, dude? Who knows? Little Deegan's corner speed, oh my effing God. That was... I had to rewatch that several times because of how crazy it was. It was just gnarly. That kid has all the potential to be a great, right? And with his following is going to come all sorts of clickbait and all sorts of little accusations and want to be against him, whatnot. But the majority of his following is good. He's done a good job building a good community. There's a saying, I'd rather be loved for who I am than hated for who I am not. And they have done a decent job of getting a big following, being honest, right? And yeah, there's some politics involved with racing, and I don't hinder Mr. Little Deegan at all because, again, he's a young man, and he's going to change between now and when he's 25 and 30, his outlook on stuff is going to change. He's going to have more control over his program, and he's going to be able to change the things that he wants to change and leave alone the things that he wants to leave alone, right? But right now, he's at mercy at the people around him that are making decisions. It's not his fault. Dun, dun, dun. And Zippy Clips says, buy Dogecoin. No, do not buy Dogecoin. This is not financial advice. However, it is a shit coin. It's a meme coin. All it has is just a following behind it. But then again, if I want to talk about the United States with our fiat money, which is USD, really, it's not backed by anything. It's backed by faith. Yeah, most people argue that the United States dollar is backed by the government. And I'm like, well, okay, well, what's it really backed behind? It's backed behind faith that the government will bail you out. You know, that whole FDIC insurance and SPIC insurance for brokerage accounts. If the banks end up deciding that they don't want to insure anymore, you're going to be SOL. So I guess for that, I mean, if Dogecoin is popular enough, there will be a use case for it. But I'm going on. Yeah, John and a bunch of you guys are talking about Bradshaw and his corner speed, dude. Young kid when I was watching him, but F and A, man, one of a fantastic riders to watch on a dirt bike. Dun, dun, dun. How crazy would it be to see Deegan pull off a win this season? Clayton says, dude, it'd be difficult because you've got a lot of really good riders here for little Deegan to pull off. If Deegan's going to win, he is going to have to get a hole shot. He's going to have to get a hole shot and stay out front. But I do find it very interesting that you've got these amateurs like Talon Hawkins, an 11th at his pro debut, right? And these guys were racing futures the day before, the week before. In my mind, an amateur should not be able to show up to a professional race and be kind of inside the top 10, right? Amateurs are one thing. Pro is a completely different thing. Big shout out to AJ making the main, right? With that 22nd place finish. Dude is a badass guy on a bike. Works really, really hard. Has a good social media following. I met him at the Red Bull Straight Rhythm, and he's a little intimidating as well. He's just got this kind of, not sure if I'm going to punch you in the face or if I'm going to be nice to you. It's kind of monotone. You can't tell he's got kind of a dry humor is what I'm saying, but he's a good dude. Dun, dun, dun. Jace Owen, arena cross guy out there, Nate Thrasher. I believe Romero is now not going to race on Yamaha. I think he's out too. Colin Park, nice top 10 for him. Dun, dun, dun. Who was filling in for Star Yamaha? Where did he finish? Oh, Tom Vial. I've said all I can about Tom Vial. If he didn't make some mistakes, he'd be third on the podium. But hey guys, it's been 30 minutes. I appreciate every single one of you. Make sure that you subscribe. Got lots of good content coming. You guys have been motivating me a lot with how many people are deciding to stick around. If you've noticed that my channel has changed, I don't want to be a dickhead. Yeah, okay, not all the time. I will be a dickhead sometimes and a little bit biased at other times. I'm going to stay unfiltered. However, my outlook on it is we're building a community and we're helping make the space better. And we want more people to get involved. And Carlos, appreciate it. New subscriber. Appreciate it, homie. But you guys keep hitting that subscribe button. Evan, appreciate you. Dexter knows what's up. It's the Brop. Bra da 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 whoa 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 whoa. Stick around tomorrow, noon Pacific time. We've got the shit show, episode 6.